Well, hello again, or possibly hello for the first time. This is Mr. Steele, and I'm continuing to work through the standard quiz questions from Term 1 and 2 for Algebra 2 at Franklin High School. And this time I'm going to tackle standard number 2, which has a very nice sounding name, makes it sound really easy. Standard number 2, solving equations. Well, the unfortunate part is that although the equations are going to be solved, and that will be what we cover, these equations aren't just ones where you just go like x equals 2 and you're like, that was easy. I did that in 6th grade. For some of you 4th grade. No, in fact, these ones you actually have to do a little bit of work. And here's a nice example that we're going to cover in just a second. So we want to solve the equation 4/3 x plus 1/2 equals 2x plus 1 over 15. I want you to notice there are fractions all over the place, and if you're like many people, you're just going like, ew, gross, fractions, I don't want to do fractions. Well, that's too bad. You don't really have a choice. So let's go through this. Basically, my guiding strategy here that I'm going to be using is going to be fraction busting, which is probably something you've heard before. The difference is when I do fraction busting, I do it a little bit differently. I learned this at a seminar I went to on Saturdays back when I was still getting my credential cleared, and it was basically coming up with the idea of why fraction busting works. And so my fraction busting basically involves getting all of these denominators for each one of these 1, 2, 3, 4 terms all to be exactly the same, and kind of filling in what's missing from each one. So let's start by rewriting this entire equation. Watch this magic. Okay, never mind, wait, magic canceled. So, let's take a look. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this equation spread out a little bit more. So, what that looks like is basically I'm just going to go, it's okay, I got 4x all over 3, notice I'm making the fraction line a little bit longer, plus 1 over 2 equals, well shoot, it's just 2 by itself, so I'm going to write that as 2x over 1. Or in fact, I can just kind of leave it blank. In fact, that's probably a better way. I'll do that. So I'll leave it blank. And then plus 1 over 15. Well, the thing is, with 15 can be a prime factor a little bit, so I'll just do that right now. Again, setting myself up. So there it is. I've now set up my problem for my style of fraction busting. So from here, what are we going to do? Well, we've got to make all of these denominators, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all exactly the same. So we've got to start mixing and matching and making sure everything's got all the same ingredients. So let's do that. Okay, so first thing, let's start on the left. So I've got a 3 here. Okay, oh shoot, don't have 1 here. So what I need to do is I need to put 1 on top and the bottom. The reason is if I multiply up and down by 3, I'm going to end up just multiplying by 1. 3 over 3 is just 1, so we haven't actually changed the problem. Okay, but now we've got a 3. Over here, well, we don't have anything in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply up and down by 3. Same reason. Down here, well, I've got a 3 already, so I'm good. Now all 4 of mine have a 3, so that's 1 factor down. Next one. Okay, how about a 2? Got a 2 right here. Oh, don't have a 2 right here. Same strategy, up and down by 2. Now I've got a 2. Over here, well, my denominator's still kind of empty. Up and down by 2. Then lastly, there's no 2 over here. Up and down by 2. Again, now all 4 have a 2 and a 3, as it turns out. So we're on to our next factor. And that factor is, in fact, 5. So we've got a 5 over here. Let's just go back, make sure they all get 1. So we didn't have 1 there. Now that one's got a 5. The right side's all got 5s. This one's still missing a 5. Up and down by 5. This one's missing a 5. Up, yeah. This one's missing a 5. So up and down by 5. And now notice all our denominators are exactly the same. 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 5. So the orders don't really matter. But in fact, each of those denominators is exactly the same. Every single one of these is over 3 times 2 times 5, which is 6 times 5, or 30. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually do the fraction busting step. This was the entire purpose of what we did. Now yes, if you're really good with numbers and with algebra and stuff and fractions, like you probably could have done this step right away, but that's cool. I like it my way. Mine's more colorful. So what we're going to do now is, now that we know they're all over 30, we're going to multiply by 30. The reason being, if we distribute this 30 into all 4 pieces of the equation, these 30s down here are just going to cancel away and they'll just be gone. So that'll be gone, that'll be gone, that'll be gone, and that'll be gone. All of them making 1s or canceling with the 30. So what are we left with? Like, we do have an equation left here. Well, here we got 4x times 2, 8x, 40x, plus 15 equals, let's see, this is a whole 30, so 30 times 2, 60x, plus 2 So there's our new equation. Well, that equation's a little bit easier to solve than the other one was. So all we do is a little bit of algebra work. So minus 40 from both sides, 40x from both sides. And in fact, I'm going to do two algebra steps at once. Subtract 2 from both sides as well. This will make a 0. This will make a 0. What will that leave me with? Well, I see a 13, and I see a 20x. So from here, don't scrimp, skip that last step. Let's at least get it done. So make a 1. We're going to get that x equals 13 over 20. And there is our answer. So again, to reiterate what we did, basically we started with this kind of ugly fraction infused equation. To simplify it and get us to a point where we could work with it a little better, we did fraction busting with a little different strategy. We basically made all the denominators equal so that we could multiply by that same common denominator and get rid of them all. Then we simplified the equation and did some simple multi-step equation techniques, making zeros, making ones. We got our answer. X equals 13 over 20. So now on to a slightly harder problem. Okay, and let's go ahead and do a second problem here, one more, just to kind of hit all the varieties and make sure you feel real confident in standard number 2 here. So what we're looking at is the second example here, 1/2 x plus 1/4 equals 1/3 times the quantity x minus 2. So what I hope you recognize when you look at this equation, or this problem, potential standard quiz question, what you might see is that there's a little difference here. The first example that we had, it didn't have that parentheses in there. Like, notice it was just kind of written straight out. This one, though, there's parentheses. So how does that differ? Well, basically, it's not going to change any of our work. The difference is going to come from that first step. Before we do any of the fraction busting method and break up the denominators or any of that cool stuff, what we're going to do is we're going to start by distributing in this 1/3. Like, the reason we're going to do that just has to do with simplicity here. Oops. So yes, the reason we're going to do this, it's just mostly for simplicity. Like, if we get everything on a level playing field, there's no parentheses, then we can just do the normal methods as before. So just kind of take care of everything from that we had. So what does this give us? Well, our new equation, giving myself some space as I go to, it's going to be 1x over 2 plus 1 over 4, but I'm going to rewrite 4 as 2 times 2, just so it's all prime factored, over 1/3, or 1x over 3, all minus 2 over 3. So again, why do I leave that space? Well, I just want to be able to fill in the denominator with everything that's missing. Okay, so let's start filling in what is missing. Let's start with the left side. So I got the 2. Got a 2 right here. Oh shoot, there's no 2. Well, don't panic. No need to call Superman. Let's just multiply up and down by a 2. Oh shoot, no 2. Hey, we already did that before. So now everything's got a 2. So next thing, well, that's good. Over here, oh shoot, there's a second 2 in here. Well, we need to multiply up and down then by a second 2, anywhere we only have 1. So right here, up and down by 2. Now I've got a second. Over here, up and down by 2. Now I've got a pair. And over here, up and down by 2. Now I've got a pair of 2's in every single one of the denominators. So I'm left with just looking for any other factors that don't have a check mark yet. Well, there's a 3. So we'll start on the right side here. So I have a 3 here. I have a 3 here. No 3 over here. So we need to complete that denominator. Multiplying up and down by 3. And the same problem over here. Up and down by 3. Now notice all my denominators are exactly the same. They're all 2 times 3 times 3, which is the same thing as 18. So in our fraction busting step, which you don't really have to show, but I like to show it just because we did all that work, basically that 18, when we distribute it all in, ghetto sprinkler it all the way across, we're going to get rid of every single one of these denominators. Gone. Bye. See you later. Maybe next time. Good to go. So there is our expression. We've now done the fraction busting. That leaves us with a new equation. 6x plus 3 equals 4x minus 8. And frankly, this is a much easier equation to work with. So in order to finish it off, we just have to do a tiny little bit of work. And that tiny little bit of work, I hope you recognize, is just going to be a little bit of algebra. So let's go. Subtract 4x from both sides. So I'll start by making some zeros here. If I do that, I can also subtract 3 from both sides. Again, I know it's kind of weird. I'm just doing 2 steps of algebra at the same time. Trust you can follow me since you have a pause button. So from here, 6x minus 4x is 2x. This makes a 0. Over here, make a 0. Get negative 11. So I get 2x equals negative 11. Let's just make a 1 to finish this puppy off. And my final answer is that x equals negative 11 over 2. And voila, you look pretty much like an expert. Like, you're kind of a cool person now. You can solve equations that have fractions in them and get question number 2 on the standard quiz correct every single time. So, to reiterate, basically we used a fraction busting strategy that involved getting all the denominators to have exactly the same stuff, make everyone equal. The only real differences from there, beside that, were if there were no parentheses, we just kind of had to go through and do every term the same way, even if there was no denominator. And on these, we just distributed first, and then we treated every denominator the same. So, nothing real involved. You've done this before in Algebra 1, and I believe it was on Geometry Standard Quiz 2. Now it's on Algebra 2, you can get it right. So, anyway, as always, Mr. Steele, signing off. Going to bed. Sounds good. Good night.